China, rainfall for only about 2 months a year. And when the rain does come in August, it comes in disastrous torrents. The result is that the hills around here are very deeply eroded. And until recent years, for agriculture, they were virtually useless. The peasants who lived here were abjectly poor, and most of them lived in hovels or in caves, and perhaps you can see some of the caves that they used to live in behind me. Today, they're using these caves for the keeping of pigs. I recently went to China for my 6th visit, this time with my family. And for 5 months, we traveled widely throughout the country. We found that what is going on in China since the Cultural Revolution is so experimental, so different to what is going on anywhere else in the world, that the only way it could be conveyed was by making a series of films, each one on a different aspect of Chinese life. This film is about the life of the peasants. For centuries, every year, somewhere in China, thousands used to die of starvation. In bad years, millions. Today, no one in China goes to bed wondering where tomorrow's food is coming from. How was this done? It wasn't done without mistakes and some years of near disaster. But the great breakthrough came in 1958 with the setting up of the People's Communes. To understand what a commune is, let's start with a single village. Each village is responsible for its own budget, it organizes its own work, elects its own leaders, and is known as a production team. Let this symbolize a single village with its surrounding fields. But a single village can't afford to buy a tractor or set up a high school or do any large-scale irrigation work. So a number of villages or production teams are associated together in what is known as a production brigade. But what about larger projects, like rural factories, a modern hospital, or the damming of a large river? Even a group of 20 or 30 villages couldn't handle this kind of work. So a number of brigades joined together to form an even larger unit. And it is this association of brigades that forms a single commune. It was a brilliant innovation, for on the human side, it enabled the peasants in a village to run their own affairs and work alongside those that they are familiar with. And at the same time, it made possible the large-scale work that was essential if enough food was to be grown for nearly 800 million people. China is huge. There are over 70,000 communes such as I've described. We shall see only 3 of them. One in the southern province of Guangdong, and one further to the southwest in Yunnan province. But first, let's see a commune village in Shanxi province, 1,500 miles to the north. Only 83 families live in this small town of Tachai, but it has become famous throughout China, not only for what the people here have accomplished materially, but for their extraordinary spirit of self-reliance and their cooperation. A well-stocked village store such as this would have been unthinkable a few years ago. Since the establishment of the communes, and especially since the Cultural Revolution, the whole quality of rural life has undergone a transformation. Most families now have 2 rooms, a bedroom and a kitchen living room. Food is now plentiful in Tachai as it is everywhere in China today. Vegetable soup made with noodles is the main dish for breakfast. The father has already worked for 2 hours at the corn husking yard, and his wife will go out to work there too, after the older children have left for school. The grandmother will remain at home to look after the younger child, and during the day she will buy the family groceries. As with most families in China, this is a 3-generation family. During the morning, school children and their teachers help to clear the streets. The snow is taken and scattered on the fields, so when in the spring the warm weather begins and the snow slowly melts, it will help to irrigate the early crops. In winter, when work in the fields is impossible, the villagers husk the corn they harvested in the autumn. The work starts early. To fill eroded gullies and enlarge the areas on which they can grow food, the peasants are ready to pull down whole mountains. Here at Tachai, they have built hundreds of terraces to retain the soil. The bulldozer has come from the brigade tractor station. The greater part of the work is done by hand. When decisions need to be taken about the work, the peasants gather for what they call an on-the-spot meeting. The leading spirit of this brigade is Chen Yong-Kui. Before the revolution, some of his family died of starvation. Chen himself was illiterate until a few years ago. Today, he is a member of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, but goes on working among his own people. The main work during the winter months is building the walls that will form the new terraces and hold the soil pulled down from the mountain sides. Many acres of new arable land have been formed in this way. The stone for the walls comes from high up in the mountains. China's great agricultural achievements were only made possible by the readiness of the peasants to undergo immensely hard physical work. Kunming Lake in the far southwest. China is a land of extraordinary natural beauty. Larger in area than the United States, the country embraces immense ranges of climate. Here too, they are moving a whole mountain to make new fields. We are now in Kwantung province, approaching Quangli, the main town of the Quangli People's Commune. The Quangli Commune covers 96 square miles, and its 42,000 members live in 207 scattered villages. There was nothing special about this commune. I saw communes that were more advanced, and some which were much poorer. The commune is administered by this revolutionary committee. We were the first foreign guests to visit this commune. We found the committee members very down-to-earth, practical, amiable people. The basic policies of the commune are set by the area Communist Party, but are administered by this committee. Their responsibilities are extensive. They administer the commune schools, the hospitals, road construction, as well as the commune industries and any large-scale irrigation and flood control projects. Some of the committee are elected by the commune members. Some are appointed by the party. Usually, about a third of the members of these commune committees are women. In spite of their heavy administrative work, every member of the committee works for several months a year in the fields. A man-made lake. Everywhere in China, one sees dams that have been built since the revolution. There must be tens of thousands of them. This one, built in 1959 with two other communes cooperating, radically improved the economy of this whole area. One man said to us, "Before we built the dam, our fields in the rainy season were waterlogged. In the dry season, our land was parched." Thanks to the dam, many villages in this commune can now breed fish, an important item of diet in China. The dam also allowed a small power station to be built. Almost every village in the commune now has locally produced electricity. The availability of electric power has made possible one of the most significant developments in China, the expansion of rural industry. We found quite small workshops and factories making electronic components, tools for export, and even tractors. This development of self-reliant rural communities has become a keystone of national economic policy. During our own industrial revolution, rural populations flocked into the cities. China is planning her industry in quite a different way. Industry is moving into the countryside, bringing millions of her peasant population into industrial production. In this way, the Chinese hope that the great social and cultural differences between life in the cities and life in the country will gradually diminish. This dispersal of industry also has strategic advantages. Half of China could be overrun, and the other half could still function effectively. Incredible though it sounds, I found no inflation in China. Most things cost precisely the same or even less than they did 15 years ago when I first began to take notes of the cost of various items. Wages, on the other hand, have gone up. The Commune Bank. The bank does a brisk business. Though the average family only earns about $250 a year in actual cash, 3/4 of the people in the commune are able to save. For expenses are low too. There are no personal taxes, their share of the rice distribution is free, they pay no rent, and clothing costs little. Education is also free. Kindergartens are run by the brigade for children in families where the parents are working and where there are no older relatives to look after them. There are 107 kindergartens in this commune and 35 primary and middle schools. Before the revolution, there was almost no rural education at all. And even today in this commune, about 4% of the children, those living in very outlying parts, do not go to primary school. This commune, like all communes, has a central hospital with fully trained doctors and modern equipment, in addition to the many smaller clinics in the villages. Most commune members pay about 60 cents a year for full medical coverage. As everywhere in China, the young people in the villages here are trained in the civilian militia, usually drilling for 2 hours twice a week. One of Mao's famous sayings is, "Trust the people." And in China today, millions of people are trusted to carry arms. We spent a number of days in one of the commune's 207 villages, or production teams as they are called. This one consisted of 46 families. They set out for the day's work. After the autumn harvest is in, every villager, regardless of age, receives an equal free distribution of rice. Last year, everyone received more than a pound of rice a day. This is more than they can use, so it enables every family to build up its own reserves. An amount of grain is also allocated for the team reserve. The state guarantees to buy any rice that is then left over, and at a fixed price, so that the team need never worry about finding a market or about price fluctuations. As a side occupation and a source of extra revenue for the village, this team grows bamboo. Every work group sends one of its members to report how many hours each person worked that day. The annual cash wage is calculated according to the number of work points each member has earned. We spend some time with the Chang family. Mrs. Chang is the mother of 3 small children. While she works, her mother-in-law looks after the children and does the family shopping. Older people continue to play an important part in the family, even when they're too old to do work. The Chang family gather for their evening meal around 6 o'clock. Mrs. Chang cooks the meal if the grandmother hasn't yet prepared it. Her husband studies a book on mechanics borrowed from a traveling library that comes to the village every week. The grandfather during the day is in charge of an orchard where the team grows mandarin oranges, which are sold to the state for export. The husband drives a tractor in the rice fields. The husband's sister during the day helps on the rice drying yard. China still buys wheat from abroad, some of which goes into national reserves. But these imports of wheat also enable China to export rice, for which she obtains a higher price than she pays out for the imported wheat. She also makes a large annual rice contribution to the North Vietnamese. Some rice from this team goes off to the commune warehouse. Some goes to the much smaller team's reserves. And some goes to the grain reserve that is kept by every family. The Changs do not any longer have to worry about getting enough to eat. The peasants of China work unbelievably hard, and the rewards made to us appear small. But the starvation and abject wretchedness which has haunted China for centuries is now a thing of the past, and the basis has been laid for quite a new kind of life for China's 600 million peasants.